British Challenger 2 tanks are being used by Ukrainian forces in their surprise counterattack in Russia's Kursk region, pro-Putin Russian sources have claimed, according to the Daily Mail. It was not immediately clear how much Ukraine had advanced in the region, but pro-Kremlin military bloggers reported earlier that a powerful new offensive was underway. Russian Z channels write that the Ukrainian armed forces carried out a company-sized mechanized attack in the direction of Budin, Novosotinsky. Allegedly, there were 3 waves of attack using armored vehicles. Russian war correspondents also write about 2 more successful counterattacks by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Leonidovo area and near Pushkanoy. Analysts from the Institute for the Study of War have analyzed in detail events in the Kursk region. Geolocated footage showed the Ukrainian armed forces in the southern part of Budin. Russian war correspondents write about the presence of Ukrainian forces in Martinovka, Mykhailivka, Cherkassky, Porechny, and Novosotinsky. At the same time, Z Publics also write that the Ukrainian armed forces conducted offensive battles with infantry forces in the area of Nikolskoye, Alexandria, and north of Russkaya Konopelka. Russian militarists have generally expressed concern that renewed Ukrainian efforts in the Kursk region could be a diversionary tactic and said it was too early to determine whether these operations in Kursk could become part of a future major effort. Pro-Putin Telegram channel Rybar claimed that Russia's 155th Guards Marine Brigade of the Pacific Fleet used a regular FPV drone to destroy a Challenger 2 tank deployed as part of this offensive. Video footage shared on the channel showed grainy footage of a drone flying into a tank that appears to be hidden in a tree line. Footage shared to other pro-Putin Telegram channels claimed to show German tanks getting destroyed by FPV drones. Columns of armored vehicles were seen on footage advancing beyond territory already controlled by Volodymyr Zelensky's army. Ukraine used 2 tanks, a dozen armored vehicles, and a demolition unit in the new offensive, which was headed towards the village of Budin, the Russian ministry said. It added the operation to destroy the Ukrainian army formations continues. Pro-Kremlin military bloggers reported earlier that Kyiv was mounting a new offensive in the area and that its troops were pressing towards the region's Bolshe-Soldatsky district. Ukrainian Volunteer Army spokesman Serhiy Bratchuk says the islands between the left and right banks of the Dnipro River are deadly for the Russian army. He said this on Espresso TV. The islands are under the Ukrainian Defense Forces fire control. The artillery counterattack is yielding results. Several enemy boats were destroyed over the last day. These are boats Russia is trying to use to get to the islands. Currently, they are targeting Kozatsky, Veliky, Potomkin, and Zabich Islands, noted Bratchuk. According to a spokesperson for the Ukrainian Volunteer Army, the goal of the Russian troops is to capture small island footholds, which will allow them to put pressure on the right bank territories of Ukraine. The Russian activity is also aimed at deterring the defense forces to prevent the transfer of Ukrainian reserves to certain areas of the front. The islands are really deadly for the enemy because even those Russians who can somehow gain a foothold there have no additional ammunition, food or drinking water. It is a one-way trip for them, Bratchuk emphasized. Over the past months, Russia has intensified its offensive operations across multiple fronts in Ukraine. Of these operations, a small-scale series of battles along the Dnipro River in the Kherson Oblast may carry very significant consequences. Russian and Ukrainian forces are fighting for control of the Kozatsky and Krylyk Islands, which are located at the river's mouth where it empties into the Black Sea. This operation is strategically important since securing these islands would allow Russia to control access to the Dnipro River, a key geographic feature in Ukraine. The Dnipro River stretches over 2,200 kilometers from Russia's Valdai Hills to the Black Sea, dividing Ukraine in two. Several major Ukrainian cities, including Kyiv, are situated along its course. The river has played a pivotal role in the conflict. As part of the initial invasion, Russian forces captured Kherson, the strategic city at the river's mouth, in March 2022. In November 2022, Ukraine recaptured Kherson and the retreating Russian forces destroyed several bridges across the river. Although Ukrainian forces later attempted to establish a bridgehead, they suffered heavy losses and ultimately abandoned the effort. Currently in the Kherson Oblast, Russia controls the river's east bank while Ukraine holds the west. In particular, both sides need small boats to assault and claim the islands. These boats allow for quick movement in shallow waters and are difficult to detect, particularly at night. Ukraine is developing effective strikes on occupied Crimea, destroying both enemy infrastructure and extensive air defense systems, but there are still many military resources left on the peninsula. This was stated in an interview with Ukrainian radio by military expert and founder of the reactive mail organization Pavlo Narozny. According to him, in Crimea over the past year, two major achievements can be noted. First of all, this is the destruction of the largest oil depot in Simferopol by drones. This is an important point, because when we talk about destroying bases somewhere in the Ryazan, Rostov, Bryansk regions, these bases can be restored relatively easily. But in Crimea, it is much more difficult. Yes, storage containers can be delivered there by rail across the bridge, but such rolling stock with a huge amount of diesel or other oil products will be a very good target. Another way is by sea, but let's remember about sea drones. Therefore, it will be much more difficult to return a destroyed oil depot in Crimea to working order than in continental Russia. Narozny explained. The second point, according to him, is the destruction of a huge number of air defense, missile defense systems in Crimea, in particular the S-300 and S-400. He noted that there are approximately 50 to 55 S-400 systems in Russia, so each such system destroyed is simply a huge blow to their ability to repel our missile attacks. At the same time, he noted that there are still many military targets left in Crimea. Crimea is now a truly huge testing ground. The entire coastline there is fortified. A huge number of air defense, missile defense systems have been brought in. There is still a huge amount of aircraft at the Saki military airfield. We have hit Saki many times and successfully destroyed equipment and infrastructure there, but all the same, this aircraft is still working there. There is still work to be done there. That is, there are military units, arsenals, airfields, and so on, literally at every step, the expert concluded. Recently, during a battle in the Black Sea near Cape Tarkankut in the temporarily occupied Crimea, a Russian Mi-8 helicopter was destroyed as a result of the use of R-73 Sea Dragon missiles. Another Russian helicopter was damaged by fire and managed to land damaged. Recently, it was reported online that a drone damaged the Russian vessel Fedor Uryupin, which was in a bay near the village of Chernomorskoy.